What is up, Galaxy? Welcome to another episode of the Heat Check. I know it's been a minute since we had one of these episodes, but honestly, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. There hasn't been much that's dropped that's felt, worthy of getting a review, whether that be good or bad. There's been nothing that's just been like horrendously bad, and also nothing super notable, in my opinion, that was worthy of reviewing. But now we're back at it. Gonna try to give you all more consistent episodes and more consistent videos in terms of album reviews, regardless of the profile of the artist, because I do want to introduce you all to new artists as well that you may have never heard of, or maybe you all have something that I've never heard of that you want me to review their stuff too. So we're back at it. Luckily, like I said, in adult year, Jermaine Cole himself has returned to bless us with another album entitled The Off Season. Obviously had a single a few weeks back called The Interlude. So I've had about 2 weeks to sit with this album and really digest it, and to really figure out, how much I like it and how much I don't. So without further ado, we're going to go through some pros, go through some cons, going to go through, my worst tracks and my best tracks. And then at the end of it, we're going to give it a rating based on the heat scale, which is 0 to 100 degrees. So you guys will know whether you should listen to J. Cole's Off Season or not. Once again, J. Cole fans, this is just my opinion. Please don't kill me in the comments. Let's get right into it. So start with the worst tracks on this thing, the ones that I didn't really care for or feel like, there was a little bit missing, could have been added to it. We have Amari, we have Punching the Clock, and we have Interlude. Some of the best tracks on this album, ones that I thought were just superb. We have 95 South, The Climb Back, and Hunger on Hillside. I think he started and finished this album with a bang. Both of those songs are heavy in my rotation the past few weeks. And that's when I truly knew that I really, really liked them, is because I've replayed these songs so many times. And like I said before, one of my bigger critiques of Cole was, the lack of replay value. He absolutely shattered that with this album. And I will definitely be going back for many more visits to this. So one of the main pros from this album that you literally get, from the intro, the moment, 95 South hits, and J. Cole starts rapping, you realize this is the best that J. Cole has rapped in a very, very long time. The standout bars, I see everybody's literally quoting, the rapping on an album is good when people have so many different quotables from it. For instance, like on 95 South, J. Cole says, "Put an M on your head, you Luigi brother now," like a Mario bar. Something that sounds so simple, but the way he says it, and the affliction in his voice, is really, really good within it to make you feel you believe what he said. You believe J. Cole will put a hit on your head. And it just outstanding wordplay all the way out through. I don't think J. Cole, like I said, has rapped this good in a long time. Typically, in the past, if you all listen to the Time Torch podcast, you should go listen to the Time Torch podcast. I've talked about it before, where I feel like he doesn't. Sometimes J. Cole will rap and it becomes really like dreamy to the point where it puts you to sleep. He doesn't really say much intriguing things, and there's often like corny J. Cole bars, throughout his entire discography. But I can, confidently say that on this album, those are very, very few and far between. And most of the bars on this album definitely hit. And I was happy to see that on this album, because I think, while I didn't think this, there are many people out there that think J. Cole cannot rap. But he rapped his ass off on this album, 110%. You have songs like Applying Pressure, which really, really emphasize how good of a lyricist J. Cole can be when he really, really puts his mind to it and has that chip on his shoulder. To add on to the lyrical ability, in comparison to his previous albums, also the vocal performances are another pro for this album. Previously, I'm not going to lie to y'all, J. Cole's vocal performances in terms of singing and stuff have been like lackluster. I would say like mediocre to lackluster at best. But on this album, he definitely has some gems where, the vocals definitely add to the album, or to the particular song that they're on. In a point where, it doesn't seem like he's using much auto-tune, except one song on this album. His genuine singing voice sounds good. He found a way to finally make it sound good. So he overcame this hunch, he had with the vocal performances, with songs like 100 Mil. The intro on that song is super soulful, really, really nice vocals on there. Pride is the Devil is another one, where he comes in with some smooth vocals as well. And there wasn't a vocal performance on this album where I was like, I hate this, please stop singing, please stop singing, please stop singing. Like the entire time I was in burst. I enjoyed it. It added to the track. And of course, none of us are asking J. Cole to be the best singer in the world. That's not what he does, right? J. Cole raps. But at the same time, if you're going to put vocal performances on your albums, make sure that they're effective. And he did just that on this album. So this last pro is probably the biggest pro for me because I've been asking J. Cole to do this for the longest time. He worked with different producers. So on the lead up to this album, he dropped the documentary, he dropped the track list, the whole works, the typical usual, what we expect from different artists. But this time, we really got to see what Cole wanted to do in terms of bringing different producers on board with this project. I mean, J. Cole's bringing in people like Tay Beast, Boy Wonder. He had DJ Dahi, one of my favorite producers, on there. That's one of the things I've just been asking for. I got tired of the dreary, sleepy J. Cole production, which it fits in certain aspects, but for a whole album, it just doesn't provide anything super intriguing. The beat progression just isn't there on his own production. So not that I don't think he can, groom himself into a better producer. It's just at this point, I would much rather see him experiment with different sounds and different producers, and show people that, he can keep up, just like he did on Middle Child, letting people know like, hey, I can still rap my butt off on, some of this more modern, trappy production. And we get a wide variety of production on this album as well. I mean, that deep South feel of 95 South. At the very end, we get the soulful Hunger on Hillside. It's completely different from the intro itself and different from other aspects of the album. And within the J. Cole fan base, beats like 95 South, beats like My Life, these are beats that we've been wanting J. Cole to rap over, the types of beats at least. So much appreciation to him to finally branching out and finally, reaching out and getting in tune with these producers, because there's some talented producers out there, and obviously, they mesh well with what Cole was trying to do with this project. And I think, critically, we're already seeing the payoff of that. So moving on to the cons, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, there wasn't much to complain about with this album to me. Usually, we go through 3 pros, 3 cons, just keep it a little even. But I really had to nitpick this album to really find 2 things that I just really did not like. So the first one is I kind of wanted J. Cole to be a little bit more experimental with the features that he put on this album. I feel like he chose a lot of safe features, right? We've already seen him do, the 21 Savage. We've already seen him do the Boz. We've seen, I don't think him and Black have ever collabed, but Black is like somebody he's a safe pick, right? But I feel like there could have been other avenues and other artists that could have contributed to this album that are unconventional when you think of who Cole should be collabing with. For instance, on the song Amari, you cannot listen to that song and tell me that you don't think Gunna could have rolled that beat, like absolutely killed it. But that's not something that I think Cole is comfortable reaching out to yet. And he's talked about it in interviews and even in the documentary where he's just now starting to come out of his own shell. So maybe we'll get there eventually. But I just think, he chose a lot of safe bets, and I think there could have been a lot more diversity within the feature list on this album. And then our last con is that this is a pretty short outing from J. Cole, in all honesty. I mean, this album clocks in just at, 39 minutes, which is, I think, one of his shorter projects in his discography. It just felt like there was more to be desired. I do commend him on packing so much into such a small album when, the trend currently is to put too much on an album, 20, 25 songs of just filler content. There was none of that on this album, but I definitely think in 3 years of waiting, we could have had more. So to wrap it all up, this album is great. You definitely need to go listen to it. It's definitely going to be in my top hip-hop album of the year conversation. Don't think it's the undisputed winner. I have a couple other albums that I think can be in that same conversation, in that same vein. But I definitely think J. Cole has entered into the fray and definitely put himself at least in the top 2 or 3 into that conversation. And I definitely think he shut a lot of the haters up and a lot of people that doubted his lyrical ability, his ability to put together a cohesive but still, replayable album. And I think he's, if this is what he has in store for us, with the Fall Off, which is supposed to be his final album, then I'm greatly looking forward to it. So we're going to give it about an 89 out of 100 on a heat scale. I appreciate everybody watching this video. Definitely go get this album a listen. Leave in the comments if there's any more albums that you think I should listen to, that you want me to sort of touch on. And as I said before, I'm going to definitely dish out more reviews for you all. I've definitely been slacking a little bit in terms of, finding things worthy of reviewing. But I'm going to just start reviewing them regardless. And if it's trash, it's trash. So appreciate everybody chilling. Make sure you follow the core on all our socials down below. Make sure you listen to Time Torch, our podcast, available on all streaming platforms. Most importantly, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe under this video. We greatly appreciate it. On the road to 100 subscribers on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate your support on everything that we do. Make sure to follow all the core content on their socials as well. And that's all I got for y'all this time, man. So appreciate everybody that chilled and, you know, watched the entire video. Greatly appreciated. And most importantly, remember, stay true.